Apparently, there's a huge drought in the Pacific Northwest. So much so that wells are drying up in Oregon's farm country. Dozens of domestic wells have gone dry in an area near the Oregon-California border where the American West's worsening drought has taken a particularly dramatic toll. This would be pretty scary if you depend on a well for your water and your well dries up. I mean, that's one of the most important things that we need is water. If your whole life is built around a well and the well dries up, I mean, who would ever think that a well would dry up? I never thought about it till I saw this article. So apparently it went dry on June 24th for this one couple, and they've been asking relatives and friends for showers and laundry and hauling water from friends. And apparently there's a lot of people that want to get their well dug deeper because apparently you can get more water the deeper you go. But allegedly it's pretty expensive and it could all dry up in another year. So it's kind of scary. Actually, it says the couple's well is among potentially hundreds that have in recent weeks in the area near the Oregon-California border, suffering through a historic drought, leaving homes with no running water just a few months after the federal government shut off irrigation to hundreds of the region's for the first time. Officials have formal reports of 117 empty wells, but suspect more than 300 have gone dry in the past few weeks. Consequences of the Klamath River Basin's water scarcity extend far beyond farmers' fields. So it says they could wait up to 6 months to get a new, deeper well dug because of the surging demand. And there's no guarantee that they won't go dry either. And sometimes they're able to borrow from their neighbors. Sometimes they have to go to a nearby city. And apparently, I guess the state is sending water trucks to more than 350 emergency storage tanks from as far as Oklahoma, amid the nationwide shortage of containers due to drought-induced demand across the U.S. West. This couple surviving on 5-gallon jugs she fills at her mother's house and has already sold several cows. That's another big problem. A lot of people's animals, they need to keep their horses and cows and sheep and goats and whatever animals, dogs, and cats, they need to keep them hydrated as well, and they're finding it harder and harder to do. You don't really understand what it's like. Maybe you do, but a lot of people, most people don't really understand what it's like not to have water because for most people, all you do is go to the sink and turn on the faucet and you have water coming out. But imagine not having that luxury, not being dependent on that. What are you going to do? I mean, I know somebody who used to live in South America and they would have to walk every morning a mile and bring back every morning. So it's something that people in first worlds usually have a problem with. But when you do face the issue, it's a lot worse than you think. We take it for granted because we don't realize how much we depend on it, how much we actually drink every day. It's actually a lot more than we realize. So it says in the past, water from Upper Klamath Lake was released each spring from a dam um, into canals. But the amount allocated to farmers varies yearly based on lake levels, and already in recent years it has been reduced. And they are giving out less. There's a type of fish that are maybe close to extinction. They kick out too much water because it endangers the fish. Crazy. I mean, what would you do if you didn't have access to a rural area? Even the city. What if you didn't have water in the city? I mean, Texas went through that when there was flooding and there wasn't any access to clean water. People were boiling water. Learning how to distill water is probably your best bet without electricity. But even then, I mean, how much can you get a day? Probably just people. So, seems like a lot of crazy things are happening around the country, around the world, and a lot of people are having styles in their lives. But for these people in Oregon, they're going to have to make some drastic changes. But let me know what you think. How do you think you would handle this? It'd be very difficult. Thanks for watching.